Good evening. Welcome to Look North, our top story tonight. The Yorkshire head teacher taking extreme measures to plug a big hole in the school budget.
The cost of resources have gone up, the cost of coaches for trips has gone up, the cost of resources for repairing things, all gone up, and the amount of funding coming in hasn't.
The government says school funding will be at its highest level ever next year. Also tonight, we find out how the storms caused real problems at Barnsley Market. Despite a terminal diagnosis of motor neurone disease, Ian Flatt from North Yorkshire is trekking 100 miles across the Dales. Racing as Yorkshire's Harry Brook propels England to victory at Headingley.
And it was quite a stormy weekend, wasn't it? This is one of many pictures that you've sent me, and this was Silsden with dramatic fork lightning. I'll have more pictures plus the weekend forecast. It's the Great Yorkshire Show, of course. Join me very shortly.
Hello, good to have your company this Monday evening. Well, first of all, we're going to look at the measures that some head teachers are taking to balance the books. With rising costs and as yet undecided pay rise to fund in September, many school leaders say there's huge pressure on the finances. Education charity The Sutton Trust said that in a recent survey of teachers, nearly 2/3 reported that senior leaders were making cuts to teaching assistants and half were cutting back on trips and outings. The Department for Education says school funding will reach its highest level in history next year. But one head teacher in West Yorkshire is taking matters into her own hands, as Michelle Lyons reports.
Leading by example, the head teacher at New Mill Infant and Primary Schools in Home Firth is about to take on a daring challenge of her own. She's planning to jump out of an aeroplane at 15,000 feet to raise much-needed funds for her school. While it may sound exciting, there's a serious reason behind the stunt.
Obviously, the pandemic didn't help. That's put extra pressures on government funding, full stop. We've got the cost of living crisis, and that's impacting on schools as well. Our gas and electric have gone up. That's quadrupled. The cost of resources have gone up. The cost of coaches for trips has gone up, and the amount of funding coming in hasn't. So that makes a big difference. So we're really all struggling right across the Home Valley.
This infant and primary school is currently operating with 4 fewer staff members than in previous years, and the deputy head has now taken on a teaching role. Both parents and children have been doing their bit to raise more funds, but the school still has a budget shortfall of £27,000.
Will do, thank you. Everyone has a right to education, and it should be funded, in my view. But it is great that people are doing these sort of activities. While there is a shortfall, that gap isn't closing anytime soon.
We did litter picking with my family. We raised £200 and we used them for equipment.
Miss Barry's done a skydive, so I raised money for her as well. And also because we need some more money to buy like art supplies, more paper and stuff for like printers.
The education charity, the Sutton Trust, says the government has to invest more money into schools to nurture the workforce of our future.
Education is really at the root of the start that children get in life. And if you want to have good economic growth, you need to make the most of the talent from those young people you have. And at the moment, when those young people aren't getting those opportunities in school, you're simply not going to get that.
In response, a spokesperson for the Department for Education said thousands of schools are receiving significant additional funding as part of the extra £2 billion investment we are providing for both 2023-24 and 2024-25, which will take school funding to its highest level in history next year. But the increase in the cost of living means many schools like New Mill just aren't feeling any better off.
It's great that you're going to such extremes to raise funds for the school, but it's not sustainable, is it?
No, I can't be finding more and more extreme things to do every year, and we need that funding to be right at the heart from government, really.
Michelle Lyons, BBC Look North, Home Firth.
Well, earlier I spoke to Simon Kidwell from the National Association of Head Teachers. I asked why there is such pressure on school budgets.
So at the moment, we don't know what's going to be in the budget for September because we have a dispute with the government and we don't know what the pay award's going to be and whether that's going to be funded by the government. So at the moment, we've got 2 weeks left before the summer holiday and many head teachers are anxious to know if they can balance their books in September.
The Department for Education has previously said that for 2023 to 24, there'll be an extra £3.5 billion. Is that not enough?
Well, there is additional funding going into schools, but that still doesn't take us back to 2010 levels in real terms until 24. So if the government do go and award a pay award and it's not funded, that's going to put schools further into the red. So it sounds like a lot of money. It's good that additional money is going into schools, but we're struggling with lots of pressures, including increase in wages and cost of living pressures.
Just talk us through what the key pressures are then. What areas are of most concern?
The big pressure last year was unfunded pay rises. So we had our teaching assistants in our school, which had an average of 10%. Teachers were just over 5% in terms of their pay increase. That wasn't funded. So even though additional money has been promised for the future, we had to fund those uncosted pay awards last year, and that's put many schools into difficulty. Energy costs last winter were significant, and also the inflationary pressures that are on school budgets. So the cost of goods and services is increasing all the time. So it's tough in schools at the moment, and I can see why some head teachers are going to extreme measures to raise additional funds.
Teachers have taken strike action for several days this year. Is there dwindling parent support when it comes to asking for more money for bake sales, etc., when their children are missing out on school days?
Well, the latest YouGov polling shows that parents are still in favour of teachers taking strike action. It was around 60%. So they know, the parents across the country know that teachers don't want to take strike action, don't want to close schools, but they also know that we're losing a lot of teachers from the profession. Over 40,000 left teaching last year, which is the highest number for, well, certainly in my memory.
Simon Kidwell, thank you. There's a by-election just around the corner, 10 days in fact to go until voters in Selby and Ainsty choose their new MP. The by-election was triggered when Conservative Nigel Adams stepped down following the resignation of Boris Johnson. The Prime Minister was in town over the weekend to show support for his candidate. David Rhodes joins us now with the details. How did his visit go down, David?
So it was one North Yorkshire MP, Rishi Sunak, visiting hopefully another, from their point of view, another Conservative MP in North Yorkshire if they're victorious in the coming weeks. There is, though, a general election expected by the end of 2024. So this was basically a dress rehearsal for that campaign. The Prime Minister coming to Selby to say that he has a plan to deal with immigration, but also the other eye, inflation.
Tackling inflation, halving inflation means making difficult decisions, but they're the right long-term decisions for the country, because ultimately, if we don't do that, it will just make the situation worse. But I've been out and about talking to people, and it's clear to me that their priorities are Claire's and my priorities. That's about protecting their green spaces in this incredibly beautiful part of the country. It's about cracking down on crime, putting more police officers on the street and backing them. And it's about working with me to stop the boats. You know, that's what people this morning have been talking to me about. Those are people's priorities, those are my priorities, those are Claire's priorities. She's a superb local candidate and she's going to be a brilliant MP for this area.
Labour would say that the Conservatives have had, well, nigh on 6 months to deal with inflation and they haven't made any headway in their opinion. There is going to be a lot of potential candidates in Selby. There are 13 currently listed. There is a full list of them on the BBC News website. And of course, when it comes to election day, we'll have all the coverage here on Look North.
We certainly will, David. Thank you. Let's take a look at some other stories coming into our newsroom this evening. Families of children with additional needs in Rotherham campaigning against the closure of a residential centre have travelled to London in an attempt to meet with the National Autistic Society. 15 children and parents wanted to talk with the charity about the closure of Thurnscoe House. Families say previous attempts to engage have been ignored. The NAS says it's had to take incredibly difficult decisions due to financial pressures and will offer as much support as they can to all of those affected. The father of a teenager from Doncaster who's been missing for 16 years has marked his son's 30th birthday. Andrew Gosden was last seen in 2007 when he skipped school and took a train to London. His dad, Kevin, says they still miss Andrew intensely and that it never seems to become easier. Campaigners who want to turn a former water treatment works in West Yorkshire into the UK's highest Lido have just days left to hit a fundraising target. Plans for the site at Thornton Moor near Bradford include a naturally filtered outdoor swimming pool, sauna and community space. A community interest company want to buy the land at auction on Wednesday. Now, some business owners have spent the day clearing up after storms caused some disruption over the weekend. If you missed it, you were really lucky because it was so loud, wasn't it? There was flash flooding in parts of Sheffield, while a concert at the Peace Hall in Halifax on Saturday night had to be paused due to lightning. Tom Ingle has been to Barnsley Indoor Market, where stallholders have been assessing the damage there.
There's always a friendly welcome at Barnsley Market, but today you get a complimentary swish of the mop as well.
So this is a curtain?
Yes, curtain. My shop curtain.
Stopping wet, you can feel it.
You're seen as one of the traders hit by a Saturday night flash flood. He reckons he's lost close to £7,000 of stock.
My life first time. 17 year I this way here. First time my life the problem here. With the whole time okay. All water.
Two of the stalls that have been worst hit are this hair and beauty shop and this T-shirt printers. You can see the bin here where they've spent the morning filling it up with everything they've lost, which includes stock and equipment. Understandably, both of the stall owners are really upset by what's happened.
Torrential rain falling in Barnsley town centre found its way into the market after closing on Saturday evening. Yesterday was the clean-up.
The rain was coming down faster than anybody could hoover it up, unfortunately. Everyone's pulled together. It's amazing just to see all the market trades. It's a great relationship anyway. All the traders get on. We come down, we were giving free teas and coffees out to all the traders that were in, to all the cleaners. Thankfully, we weren't too badly affected because we had a shutter on, but, you know, some of the other stalls did have it a bit rough.
Today's shoppers might not have even realised a few centimetres of water had intruded. The welcome was as warm as always, including the mopping. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North, Barnsley.
Yeah, it's good to see them all coming together to help, isn't it? Next to the story of a group of recovering drug and alcohol addicts in Leeds, where the founder says everyone who attends is a miracle. The man who set up Getting Clean has been telling us he wants to change people's perception of addiction while also helping the local community.
It wasn't even a life, it was just existing.
It's nice to be able to give something back from the society that I've taken so much from over the years.
Each person here is a miracle. You know, everyone here today is battling addiction. Hi, I'm Chris Sylvester. I'm a recovering addict in long-term recovery, and I am the founder of Getting Clean Community Interest Company. My active addiction started when I was 12 years old in high school. That was the first place that I was introduced to heroin. 26 years later, being in and out of prison all my life, I regret the impact of my actions on people and the dark places that addiction brought me. So today we're at a Getting Clean soap workshop. All our volunteers have been through a journey of, well, a nightmare of addiction.
I have 5 children and my second son, Gregory, was alcoholic. We didn't know from one day to the next whether we were actually going to see Gregory again. I think a lot of people think it's only people from troubled backgrounds that actually fall into this trap. And the more I heard about Getting Clean, the more I felt I wanted to be able to do for other people what Getting Clean had done for my son.
I've been in and out of prison since I was an 18-year-old, which has been like 25 years. On and off drugs, countless times. My life was in turmoil. My mum always used to say to me that out of me and my 3 siblings, I'd be the one to make her proud. And for quite a few years, she told me she hated me because I used to manipulate her for money. She follows Chris's company online on Facebook and stuff like that. And she said, I'm really proud of what you've achieved, you know. I was actually crying when she said it to me, to be honest.
I was homeless, I lost my children, I had to work on the streets and everything. I just didn't have a life, and it was just committing crime all the time. I've got a lot of guilt and shame around it, but I'm working on that stuff, doing really well now, getting my children back. I've got my own house, nearly 2 years clean.
So what's going on here? After we've made the soap and it's been through the maturing process, it then comes to the production line. So we have the volunteers. Once they are ready, we go to fairs with them or sell them online. All money that's generated goes back into supporting community.
My life has changed dramatically since I've been involved with this.
Miraculous, that's what it is.
It's amazing. We don't have to be alone anymore.
Certainly sounds amazing, doesn't it? What a project. Time for sport now. If you're a cricket fan, no doubt you're beaming ear to ear. What a result at Headingley.
It was absolutely thrilling, I have to say. Yeah, we start with cricket. Where else? There were huge celebrations at Headingley last night as England beat Australia to keep the Ashes series alive. And it was a Yorkshireman who's played the starring role too. Harry Brooks scoring a brilliant 75 runs. It means Australia lead the series 2-1 now, with 2 matches left to decide who will hold the Ashes.
Come on, England! Come on, England!
That winning feeling spilling out of Headingley on a sunny Sunday afternoon, cricket fans knew they'd watched something special.
It's worse than watching it on the TV because you can't walk away when it gets tight. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Can't ask for better. On with the next 2 then now.
Harry Brook, yeah, stand out for me.
Australia dominate that at any other ground. But nah, good on them. It's a good game.
Oh, it's pretty tough to take. Thought we were pretty close at the end there, but anyway, it keeps the series alive, so that's a good thing.
I really enjoyed it, and then for a bit I didn't enjoy it, and then I started enjoying it again. It was just so tense, but it was fantastic.
His win keeps England's Ashes hopes well and truly alive.
Excruciating. To be honest, we have got a lot better at being able to cope with it, but it was back to the old ways of being every ball a painful experience for me. I love watching him play.
Nicely poised, really, isn't it? Obviously 2-1 down, but the Ashes is still alive, and yeah, hopefully we can win in Manchester. But we've got a week and a bit off now, so I think everybody will have a bit of downtime and then come back hard.
They've been 2-3 very hard-fought games, so I think everyone could do with a break. And look, we know what we need to do. We need to win the next 2 games. It's pretty simple.
It was an incredible noise there yesterday. Super League now, and an unexpected win for struggling Huddersfield Giants, who stunned Super League leaders Castellan Dragons in Perpignan. The teams were level at 50 minutes, but Chris McQueen put the Giants ahead as he crashed through from 10 metres. The 22 to 14 point win doesn't change Huddersfield's position 3rd from bottom of the table, but it does give them a huge boost in morale.
It's been a hell of a horrible time at the moment, and kind of a real painful one for kind of the supporters and the club, and for ourselves as players and coaches, and no one wants that kind of bad feeling. But today you can see that there's still a group of players there that are willing to play for each other and willing to perform, and that's all we've asked of them all year, to be fair.
And to catch up with the rest of the weekend's action, including wins for Leeds and Wakefield, you can watch the Super League show on the BBC iPlayer from 7. Now, at the World Para-Athletics Championships in Paris, Sheffield's Rafi Suleiman was just edged out of first place by his GB teammate in the 100-metre frame running. Suleiman was in first position for much of the race after a strong start, but was overtaken in the final 10 metres by Gavin Drysdale to finish with the silver. And he was happy to come away with a personal best time too.
Oh, wow. Well, I'd be lying if I just can't believe it. Put it into words. I'm speechless on how it feels. It's all I've ever dreamt of, really. I was ahead of the start, and for Gavin to catch me up was pretty amazing. So kudos to him.
And kudos to you as well, Rafi. And whilst there is no British interest left at Wimbledon in the singles, there is in the doubles. Naitha Baines from Leeds won her 3rd round match today and is through to the quarterfinals with partner Maya Lumsden. That's your sport, Amy.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm sure you'll recognise this gentleman. Where is he? Eventually. Where is he? Round about now, there we go. There he is, Ian Flatt. We've seen him scale Snowdon and complete a marathon despite a terminal diagnosis of motor neurone disease. And now Ian Flatt from Green Hamilton has set himself a new fundraising challenge. He's trekking 100 miles across the Yorkshire Dales. Olivia Richwell joined him at the foot of Penny Kent.
Ian Flatt is simply irrepressible. He's had a lifelong love of the great outdoors. A diagnosis of MND in 2019 hasn't curtailed his passion.
Beautiful day, beautiful people. I get that sense of adventure that the minute I start thinking about it and planning it and looking at the routes, I just, like, why don't I should do this every day just for the sake of it.
This is day 3 of a 10-day, 100 miles challenge. The team is raising money for the MND Association and the new Rob Borrow MND Centre. Ian couldn't climb this Yorkshire peak without his friends, who helped Tangerine dream over the hurdles.
I brought them for a day out, and I think I'm in the chair for the ice creams. And the camaraderie and the spirit of helpfulness and kindness that we all have, it's just beautiful. They get a fabulous day out, and they make, and you've seen already, they help me over the obstacles and make everything easy for me.
I thought it was going to be a nice saunter around the countryside, but yeah, just at the moment, just keep Ian straight. It's a bit of a quite tough at times.
The teamwork's absolutely fantastic. You know, we've got one common goal, and that goal's to fire ahead and get, achieve Ian's goal.
Well, 100 miles in 10 days might not seem a lot, but as you can see, Ian hasn't picked the most simple of routes.
There's the waterfalls there, and he's our inspiration for the walk. So, yeah, he's keeping us all going, keeping us all on high spirits.
Was it heavy?
Yeah.
It didn't feel that heavy.
My dad, Warren, was diagnosed with MND in 2016 and died in April 2018, so it's a cause very close to my heart.
It's been 14 months since I joined Ian and his team climbing Snowdon, and since then he's completed the inaugural Rob Burrow Marathon. MND progresses differently in each patient, and Ian is still able to control his wheelchair. Carer Lisa is here to make sure he's OK.
Mainly his breathing. He might need to use his ventilator at some point. Dehydration. Make sure he's eating enough. Yeah, just mainly supporting his wheelchair.
Think about all the things I can do and all the things I still do and still enjoy. And the list is massive.
After a 5-hour walk, partially climbing Penny Ghent, Ian is reunited with wife Rachel, who drives him home, ready to start the next adventure tomorrow. Ian finishes his trek on Sunday. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, on Penny Ghent.
You're doing great, Ian. Keep going, always so positive. I can't wait to see you at the finish line. Now, the Great Yorkshire Show is nearly upon us. 140,000 people are expected at the showground in Harrogate over the next 3 days. This time tomorrow, I'll be there too. I can't wait. Ollie Constable is there for us now. Oh my goodness, it looks a bit windy, Ollie. I'm not sure about that.
That's right, Amy. The weather has thankfully stayed dry for the last couple of hours for us. There has been lots of rain over here for the last couple of days as well. We can see the ground has definitely needed it after a few weeks of very dry weather. It is getting a bit windy, but that's all right. Over the last couple of hours, we've managed to see the showground here come to life. Lots of exhibitors already down here. We've already got Lorenzo, who's one of the star acts. We've had a bit of a sneak peek of Lorenzo, who's been taking part in the main ring. He's going to be performing every day. 140,000 people coming through the doors. Charles Mills is one of the director here at the Great Yorkshire Show. To bring that many people through must mean there's a huge amount of preparation involved, Charles.
There is. It's a big challenge, but we start to prepare. As soon as we finish this show, we'll start to prepare for the next one.
For farmers, it's been a pretty terrible year for them, hasn't it? It's been really tough. What's it like having a show like this for them to come down to?
Well, I think it's just a great place for them to come together and meet each other. Once a year, perhaps, you see the same friends you saw the year before. But so, you know, it's a social event, is this? It's just a great place to come to.
We've already touched on the weather. Have you got one eye on the weather radar, hoping that it's going to stay dry?
I'm sure it'll be fine. We're in Yorkshire, you know, weather's nothing. Think about how it was in 2012, those people that came then.
164 years it's been going now, the Great Yorkshire Show. How do you keep it fresh?
Well, we do. It's a challenge, yeah, it is a challenge, but we try to meet that challenge every year. We've got so many different new things here this time, from fashion shows to the main ring attraction, as you mentioned, the Great Lorenzo. What a wonderful event it will be.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Charles. Well, if you're one of the very lucky people to be coming down here over the next few days, keep an ear across Radio York, all your travel news there. And as Amy said, we'll be here for a very special Look North tomorrow. But Amy, make sure you pack your brolly just in case there are a few more showers ahead.
Sounds like it, Ollie, thank you. Now, no pressure, Paul, but the whole farming community and 140,000 guests are relying on you to get this right. What's it going to be like the next few days?
Well, you know I'm always right for the Great Yorkshire Show, and if I'm not right, I get it in the neck for 14 hours, so I'm very much looking forward to going. I mean, it looks a bit better than it did last week, so we're looking at sunshine and showers. Some could be heavy, the odd rumble of thunder, but plenty of sunshine in between. So, you know, take your umbrella, but it's not...
I'm thinking of those country chic hats.
Anyway, shall we have a look at the pictures that we've been sent in over the weekend, because it's been really lively. Look at that fork lightning there, Moss Valley in Sheffield. Of course, Aberdale Road had some flash flooding on Saturday night, around about 32 millimetres recorded at Sheffield Weston Park. The second picture is Pontefract. Let me shift out of the way. You can see the majesty of that. Look at that grounding there on the hill behind that housing estate. And then Tanya Arnold makes a comeback, ex-sports presenter, of course, our friend here at Look North. Look at that asperatus cloud. That is really quite rare. It was only classified in 2017, and it gives you an idea of the instability in the atmosphere, which ultimately led to the heavy rain, thunderstorms and flash flooding. If you've got any pictures you want to send to us on Twitter, Instagram and on the Weather Watcher website. So for tomorrow then, it is a day of sunny spells and scattered showers. As I've just said, 1 or 2 of the showers could be heavy with the risk of the odd rumble of thunder, but there'll be a good deal of dry, bright weather in between those showers. But it's, you know, certainly an unsettled looking picture, certainly for July. Low pressure in charge with showers rotating around the bottom of that area of low pressure. Just saying that things might just quieten down a bit through Thursday and Friday before the next system threatens rain late Friday and into the first part of next weekend. Right, there's a lot of cloud out there at the moment. It is currently thick enough to produce some patchy rain, and actually we've got what is a waving cold front in here that could bring some rain in from the southwest. There's some heavy bursts of rain in the far south of our area for a time tonight. To the north, we're looking at clear spells and 1 or 2 showers. Quite a mild night to come with temperatures around 13 or 14 degrees. A quick look at the high water times there. We are blinking, you're going to miss it, because here's tomorrow's forecast with sunshine and scattered showers. As you can see from the greens, some heavy with the risk of thunder. I'll be back with live weather at 10:30. That's the forecast.
Thank you. You've covered yourself there. It might be sunny, might rain a bit.
Thanks for that, Amy.
Well, we're really looking forward to the Yorkshire show tomorrow. If you're there, come and say hello to us. We'd love to see you, and we'll be live from the showground tomorrow night. That's it from us. Bye-bye for now.